Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? This is Mike from the alternate universe. Where I come from, it was always spelled Berenstain Bears. And also, Earth has been taken over by giant lizard insect robots. Only you can help us. How, you ask? By studying up on lizard insect robot history through audiobooks. If you go to audibletrial.com/aceofgeeks right now, you can get access to over 180,000 audiobooks, and one of those has got to have the history of giant lizard insect robots. Or something. Plus, you'll be supporting the podcast. Go to audibletrial.com/aceofgeeks.
We are wizards, we are crewmen, we are Jedi superhuman warriors fighting on the side of good. We are DMs, we are players, we are hardened undead slayers, elven archers who roam the enchanted wood. We all pretend to be something, so why not pretend to be something interesting? Nerd on, my friends, nerd on. Keep it up and we can rule the world. Whatever you love is not wrong. There's power in your phantom. Keep strong, nerd on.
Yeah, he was the annoying American who did annoying American things like television. But then again, in no offense, Melissa, but yeah, she's gone. In the 1950s, Americans have television, and kids had to suffer in Britain through BBC.
I lived in England in the late 80s, early 90s, and there was children's television for 1 hour every day between the hours of 3 and 4 o'clock. And if you missed it, that was it. You had gardening shows.
Yay! Have you ever seen Dog Tanyan and the Mouseketeers?
I have never seen Dog Tanyan.
Melissa,
that sounds amazing.
Melissa refers to it as a Hanna-Barbera-like cartoon when she was a kid.
Mm-hmm. What was this?
Dog Tanyan.
Sing Dog Tanyan and the Mouseketeers.
Dog Tanyan and the Three Musketeers. My dad still remembers the theme song.
Do you?
All I remember is the one and one for all.
They didn't spend a lot of time enunciating in Great Britain in the 80s.
They never spend any time enunciating in Great Britain.
It was a northerner that sang it.
What?
I think it was a northerner that sang it.
Oh.
Which is I swear though, I listened to the theme song recently, and I swear right in the middle of it says, "Children are so corny." I swear it says that.
That was like, I have a friend who, Maury, who actually listens to the show, I think, who
I saw Maury recently.
Swears up and down that at one point during the White Ranger theme song from the 90s Ranger show, it says "White Power." It does not.
It does.
It does not.
It does.
Guys, one of us is a Power Ranger fan here. I have listened to the original. It says the song, just the only lyrics in the song are "White Ranger, Tiger Power." It says that over and over through the whole song. You guys eliminated the words Ranger and Tiger so you could make yourselves feel like you're smart, but you're not. You're just wrong.
I don't know anything, so I'm not gonna comment.
So, Melissa...
At least she's finally admitted that she knows nothing.
That is the essence of wisdom. Booms. Socrates.
Is that Socrates or is that the Tao Te Ching?
No, that's Socrates.
I thought Socrates, wanted to know
I am a wise
things.
man because I know nothing.
But didn't he know things?
Didn't he say that the more you know... no.
The more questions you ask, the wiser you become.
Welcome to the Ace of Geeks podcast, home of 4 people without philosophy degrees who've read one book between the 4 of us and think we know anything.
I've read...
I had to go through
4 or 5
program for my liberal arts degree, so I've read a lot of philosophy books.
And I had to read a lot of political philosophy books to teach history, which has
led
led to a lot of me looking at, modern conspiracy stuff and being like, this is a horrible reference. Speaking of remembering things when you were a kid, Melissa, when you were a kid, did they have a book series called The Berenstain Bears?
Are we talking about the spelling thing? Because on Wikipedia, English Wikipedia, it shows both spellings.
Ooh.
Really? Alright, so
the
here's
conspiracy
It was Amazon.co.uk. Amazon.co.uk shows both spellings. But the correct spelling is the A, but the Amazon.co.uk shows both spellings.
Then how is it as kids that people seem to, not universally, but sporadically universally...
Well, I think the theory is absolutely correct. There was an alternate universe where it was Berenstain Bears, not Berenstain Bears, and all of us are from that universe. And at some point in the last 3 or 4 decades, we all crossed over. Whether it was one at a time or all at once, I'm not sure.
So was mine in some kind of quantum state? Because I have no idea what it was when I was a kid.
Well, some people
you're
might
just
not have a
silly.
memory.
I'm slightly what?
Silly.
That's true.
I'm
not from either of these universes.
It might be that...
You're quantum locked. You're a Time Lord. Of course you're a Time Lord. You're British and sassy.
And from the north.
Lots of planets have a north.
What if it's not... what do you call it? What if it's not that... we came over. Maybe it's that timeline where we're from... completely gone. Our timelines have merged, but much like hereditary genes, some things won and some things lost.
Do you think it's possible that it's simply that the people are more used to the spelling of Bernstein versus Bernstein?
No, that's ridiculous. No.
Well, why would ever think that? That's not even logical.
Much less entertaining. Boom.
Let them have their stupid argument.
It's not an argument. We agree.
If the two universes,
who cares?
if the two universes went to war, Secret Wars style, how do you know that the better versions of ourselves won? What if we're the shitty versions of ourselves and we just low blowed the other universe?
That fucking explains a lot. Then
yeah, it does.
Okay, I have an answer to that.
Yes.
No one could be more Jarrus than I am right now.
But what if the other Jarrus was more Jarrus than you?
No, that's not possible.
Well, what if they were?
Two infinities is still infinity.
What if that Jarrus had hair?
I have hair.
Ish.
Oh, you're talking about this? This is my sunroof. I get solar power this way. It's the landing strip. There's my forehead. It's my cranial defense mechanism.
When I was a kid, we bought my family friend, who we called Uncle, a T-shirt that said, "It's not a bald spot. It's a solar panel for a sex machine."
I like that.
That is such a great gift to get from someone else's kids.
Later, he turned out to be cheating on his wife.
Oh my god!
You were accurate.
Yeah, we were.
Sex machine.
You have no idea.
That story took a dark turn in my life while it was happening. I can do this. Yes, I have succeeded in making your chair lean back.
Would
you like a lap desk?
Some help?
Okay.
No, I've succeeded.
No, but I was thinking...
I did it all by myself.
If the laptop gets hot, I have a lap desk that you could put underneath.
Jarrus, this is me fully extended, alright? Lots of people come in different shapes and different extensions.
It's a short chair. We got it from my mom. She's 5 foot.
Well, it just seems to lift up more.
So what you're saying is, really all this comes down to is a your mama joke.
I just think, Mike, that you could possibly get it a bit more 90-degree angle. You know, a bit more erect.
Maybe if you were trying a little harder, then it would be easier for me to get myself a little more extended.
It's not fair for you to put that on me. I'm being as funny as I can.
We know. That's why our listenership hasn't gone up at 160.
Are you saying that in some timeline out there, there's a funnier Jarrus? Because I don't think that's true.
in every timeline out there must be a funnier Jarrus.
Fuck you! Get out of my house!
Hawkins, there is a timeline in which the interviewer was funny.
Oh, where John Oliver.
No, it wasn't John Oliver. It was his interviewer.
His interviewer was John Oliver.
Well, I don't think it was.
Did you guys see the John Oliver segment from this week with the televangelists?
I saw it.
Oh my god, it's amazing.
It's true.
They figured that in order to investigate televangelists, they looked into what it takes to set up your own tax-exempt church, and found out that it's so surprisingly easy that they did it. They created Our Lady of Perpetual Exemption, and are now accepting completely tax-free donations that you can make and get a write-off in your report. And because they're a church, they can take as many of them as they want with no restrictions, and then at the end of a certain amount of time, we're just going to donate it all to Doctors Without Borders. But they're making a lovely point about how televangelists in this country work by...
Well, especially by pointing out the horrible abuses.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
They're just...
He set up an mail correspondence with one of these famous televangelists, and the guy would do things like, he would send a letter with $1 enclosed, and the dollar would be like, This dollar has been blessed by Jesus and therefore cannot stay in your house. It must be returned to me with $46 more dollars.
Put it in your Bible for a night, but just a night. Don't keep it there. You will be fucking with God.
Yeah.
Like, they bring that into it. It is so horrible.
And then at one point, they find... Because the whole point of this is that, these donations that you're making to these televangelists are seeds that will one day blossom into, fully fruited money for you. At one point, he sends you a envelope that says check enclosed, and you open it up, and it's a check for $5 made out from you to him.
Yeah. Oh my god.
This is like capitalism and religion. Like
religion has had so much capitalism, especially in America, for a really long time.
This is literally like, oh, I need to be saved. Do I just pay you? Okay. I mean, like.
Do we not remember the tithes?
I remember
the Middle Ages.
Someone's gonna start hammering on them.
Yeah, exactly. They did away with
Some
it.
people did away with it. The problem is that there have always been, and probably will always be, people who take a look at religion and come away with, you mean you'll believe anything? Would you believe you'll give me money?
Would you believe in Xenu?
Yeah.
Well, and like, it is really unfortunate that there are some churches who actually do good work and like are trying to make a difference in the world, and they're barely surviving
because
these guys are raising $30 million for private jets.
Yeah, exactly. And
that's not an exaggeration, by the way. There's a guy on John Oliver's segment. You should watch it if you can. I'll try and throw a link up in this thing. But
and his defense was that God wanted me to have this.
He talks about how his parishioners, or some people complained about the $30 million he'd spent on a private jet. So next week he spent double that on an even better private jet cash because he could.
I hate having morals. They're so inconvenient.
Right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be easier to look at the malaise of humanity and be like, I cannot tell who is better or worse? Oh my god, that sounds awful.
Yeah.
My high horse has a lot of problems. But at least I know that I stand someplace. And that's not charging people to give me money.
Oh, God.
Not abusing people's faith. What gets down to me is these are people who obviously need help. They want to be healed from some disease. They want to get out of poverty. And they're doing everything they know how. And they're having their faith taken advantage of.
Yeah.
It's the same as con artistry.
It is con artistry.
It is con artistry.
It's an absolute con. It's a government-sponsored Texas, or not Texas, but TV-controlled, tax-free con artistry. It's insane, and it's insane that we've allowed it to go on for as long as it has. But it's because nobody really wants to pay attention to it. They want to sweep it under the rug.
And anytime you try and put legislation in that would regulate how church tax law works,
all of a sudden donations.
Evangelists get really upset because it's easy to stir up a fear of the government changing your religion if your deepest desire is to implant your religion into the government. Natural conflict there. We're talking more about politics stuff here. One of the things I would like to turn to is blurp, 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 blurp. We saw some amazing things recently. And yes, around Star Wars and stuff like that. And
I like to just sometimes sit in
Disney
silence and let Jarrus do the segues because it just leads to these wonderful, nonsensical. So things happened, and then things.
If you give me that power, you're gonna pull it up against me. Fine, I'll use my power of segues against you.
There's a power of segues. Do you have an army of tech billionaires from Silicon Valley riding around on two-wheel devices?
I saw that in San Francisco the other day. It was the weirdest thing. We were walking around Golden Gate Park, and there was a tour of segways.
Going slower than walking, taking up the entire goddamn walkway.
I'm like,
I want to do that so bad.
Part of
my secret desire is to be rich enough that I can be that kind of asshole. That I can be like, yes, this is a path for walking, but I'm going to ride on my extremely inefficient vehicle down it just to piss you people off.
You are talking about being the type of person that John Hodgman used to be on The Daily Show.
Yes. I want to be the type of person that leads a protest in San Francisco because police are cracking down on bicyclists having not stopping at stop signs. By their protest of that was to gather a mass of bicyclists and not stop at I'll stop at every stop sign. Just fuck
during
you.
Rush hour.
Yeah.
Rush hour. Like, I'm sorry, look, there are certain situations where shutting down traffic, Black Lives Matter, totally cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Slight inconvenience on your bicycle is not one of those things.
Well, and also...
Well, having to stop, it's safety.
It's the
exactly.
law!
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, well, you have to obey the law now.
Well, and also, why the fuck do they go down Fell Street?
Oh, yeah.
It is a motherfucking grid system. Go the next street over where there are no cars.
Yeah.
Why do they have to go down Fell Street?
If you're going into Knowles Valley? Close to where the Hate Street is, just go 1 block south into the park.
It's a grid, like you just said, it's a grid system. If you go 1 block in either direction, you're going to get where you're going.
Sorry, San Francisco blocks are not New York blocks.
No,
they're fucking short.
They are short.
They are pretty
short. Especially
until you get
blocks.
into the the avenues where they get much longer. For some reason.
East-west they get very long, but north-south it's still really short. And so I'm like, you're not going that far out of your way. Just hop down to the next street and stop being a pretentious asshole.
Yeah. You guys are making me as a bicycle rider look bad.
Well, and also the thing is, the whole point of this is that it's dangerous for cars who have a lot of, there's a concentration. San Francisco is already difficult enough to drive in, and these bicyclists don't even fucking look.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure
or use hand
cities
signals.
Like Davis, which are big bike areas in Santa Barbara, they stop at stop signs.
They do in Boulder, in Colorado. They stop at stop signs.
They stop at stop signs because
they make
they
eye
know
contact.
that they're traffic.
Yeah. They any cross traffic, they make eye contact to make sure that they see.
You know what I think the real problem is I think this is caused by bike couriers who are pushed by their jobs to get there faster, which leads other bicyclists to thinking, this is what we're doing now.
I like the way you pronounced couriers there, because it sounded like it was some sort of Quarian warrior. And now I'm imagining squid people on bikes with axes. Couriers. He said quarriers.
Quarriers.
They said
quarriers.
Couriers.
Quarriers. You know, they quarry things from one place to another.
But
I don't know what I'm saying.
No, what it's caused by is pretentious assholes.
It comes from somewhere.
Rich potential assholes who are like, oh, let me just throw money at it until I get my way. And I'm going to look like a homeless person because that's trendy. Sorry.
Does this coffee come from Coffee to the People?
Yes.
The hipster grocery market on Haight Street's closed.
Really?
Yeah, there was this really awful convenience store
that
where everything was artisan, and you'd get like $2 snacks for $8.
Yeah,
it was so awful, and it closed down in like 4 or 5 months. Oh god, that was happy.
It's like, this is the hate. This is not.
You know what's really succeeded, though, is that really awesome Goff store practically across the street.
Goff store?
Goff store.
Oh, Goff
Where
store.
you go inside and there are like skeletons and things. If you go upstairs, there are like
Cough
magical
store. Like, what do you get at a cough
awesome.
store? Like, sir, would you like a good harumph today? Or would you like a good whooping cough?
I'm here for a tickle.
I thought cough might be a kind of drink that I didn't know about.
Maybe they were just mispronouncing Goff Street, which already sounds like you're having a cough.
No, like a goth store. Goth store. I found the only... It's
Goff.
Goff.
So Goff is the street.
Okay.
Goth is the thing that Jairus is trying to say.
Goth.
For some reason he's pronouncing goth with an F.
So what's the
I always do that. I have a weird pronunciation problem.
Goth with P.
Goth.
Not P.
Goth.
Just ignore my ability to speak. It's not going to happen.
I found the only goth store in that Texas.
We're diverging into politics once again. Another amazing thing that we saw this week was The Man from U.N.C.L.E, which is
oh my
god!
Did you see that movie? Is it fun? I have really good hopes about that.
It's really, really fun.
It's so much fun, and like the casting is perfect.
So this movie is really the best example that Henry Cavill could have been a really good Superman in a good movie. Like
yeah, because like he Oh, he is charming for days.
Wait, is he the same guy who's in Man of Steel?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Whoa.
He's a fine specimen of a man.
I guess he needed a good director to help him turn the charm on them.
Yeah.
He was so wooden as Superman.
He stars opposite the man with the best name in show business.
Oh, yes.
You know about this? So, the guy who plays the Russian in Man from U.N.C.L.E. and who was also the lead in Lone Ranger, his name is Armie Hammer. His Army is short for Armand. His name is Armand Hammer. His name is Armand Hammer. His parents are awful. And also wonderful.
I really feel like...
And he's Russian?
No, he's actually American.
Oh. But he's really good.
He plays a very good Russian. He is the actor.
Surprisingly good. And the movie is just great. So I highly recommend go see it.
They do this thing where they condense an entire action sequence into what would be like 10-minute action sequence into 2 minutes where instead of everything happening in sequence, everything's happening out of sequence in different comic book panels, and you can look in all kinds of different places, and it's amazing.
That's awesome.
Honestly, Guy Ritchie is one of the most talented action directors of the last 30 years.
Say no more. Now I understand.
Yeah, but I've always enjoyed his movies, but this one I just felt like... No, that's Luc Besson.
Oh,
and that's another
Guy
person
Ritchie is
who
Snatch and Sherlock Holmes, Lock, Stock, and Smoking Barrels.
Sherlock Holmes, the second one, had one of the worst action scenes I've ever seen. Not because it was bad, but it didn't fit in the movie. The Total War one where they start losing everything. And I looked at that and be like, this will be so amazing, where they sit up and talk about how horrible. No one's ever experienced mechanical warfare before. They never talk about it again. And I was like, you just wanted this sequence in here. That made no sense.
Yeah, no, and in The Man from U.N.C.L.E., because sometimes Guy Ritchie does do that, where you're like, come on, dude, that was just fucking gratuitous. But in The Man from U.N.C.L.E.,
what's his name with Legolas?
Yes. It's so smart. Oh, gosh.
You alright?
I'm fine.
Was it the cat?
Yeah.
Jeez.
I can't find my phone.
I have your phone, I think. Is it this black iPhone?
Oh, thank God.
It's on the table.
That's a stool. Have you not seen a stool before? There's a sample.
And that was pretty funny.
Thank you.
But yeah.
The only problem I have with it is that the lead female, I think she's a good actress, but she only has one emotional note throughout the whole film.
Bond.
But the
Bond
villainess.
Oh my God, she's so good.
Amazing.
What's she like?
She is a Bond villain for days.
She's like an uptight British evil female.
Wait, is she the big bad?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I've never seen that in a spy film.
Yeah. And she
is very sexist.
Phenomenal. But
that's awesome.
And her evil Nazi henchman is very good too.
Ooh,
he has this torture scene that's very creepy.
What is her motivation? What does she want?
Money.
Oh, is she selling the nuke for money?
Yes.
Oh, I remember that storyline. Yeah. I looked at that and I was like, thank you. A spy film with a plot that could have happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's just really interesting because I kind of want to look up the old show and kind of see the history of it, because
I think it's so amazing that in the 60s somebody did a show about Russians and Americans working together to solve spy crimes. That's amazing.
It was really, really unusual,
Yeah.
Especially in the way that it treated Russians who were in the U.S. as spies, considering that the Rosenberg trial had happened just 15 years earlier or something like that. Oh, that was awful.
But, I mean, a fabulous job. Thank you, Mr. Ritchie, for a fabulous movie.
There's a chase sequence near the end. It's this motorcycle chasing a buggy, which is chasing a Jeep. And it's this twisty sequence throughout the mountains. And he'll follow the action really closely, and then he'll zoom out to helicopter, beyond helicopter, almost satellite view, and then zoom back in to a different spot. And so you can constantly tell where everyone is in the chase. It makes it really easy to follow. It's really cool.
Good.
Yeah.
Way better than the shaky cam way of doing things.
Yeah.
But speaking of movies,
Yeah.
it's a very important celebration today, folks, because today is the 20th anniversary of my favorite movie of all time.
Oh, Mortal Kombat!
I know, right?
Anyway.
Mortal Kombat!
I think a very...
So did I.
In a very small way.
I was 11.
I was 16.
So we're not that far apart.
No. That's right. You're a little bit closer now. You had your birthday. You're 31.
Yes.
Oh.
I will be 37 soon.
That's alright. Lots of people are near death.
Good. Hey, she will kill you.
No, I have no fear of death. I'm gonna live a long time.
Unlike people in the movie Mortal Kombat.
Okay, so I think that one of the reasons why Mortal Kombat as a movie idea worked, where so many other video game movies just did not work out in that era,
they followed the storyline of the game.
Yes,
Yeah.
And much like in Mortal Kombat, they used the same sort of techniques, and they could because Mortal Kombat was photo-based.
Yeah.
Which meant that it was easy to make people who looked just like...
That's true.
And it worked out so well.
It really is about respecting the source material. And we had... those of you who are experiencing this podcast on Friday will know that we had an article that came out on Wednesday, which really goes into more detail about this. But right now, that's the future. But... a lot of what movie adaptations get wrong, and this is where Fantastic Four bombed miserably, is if you don't... it already happened. If you don't respect your source material, you are going to make a shitty movie. Just period. There's a reason people are coming to see your movie if it's an adaptation, and that's because they like the source material.
It's kind of
an exception to that.
What?
The Bourne films. The Bourne films are so good because they did not stick to the source material. They were inspired by the source material.
But they didn't shit on the source material.
No,
either.
they were definitely inspired by and drew from and were followed the idea.
Yeah, it's kind of like we watched the remake of Annie last night, and which was all right. Mainly really hated it.
Well, it's just okay. I want to be Miss Hannigan. I want to play Miss Hannigan. Let me rephrase that. I want to play Miss Hannigan at some point because her song "Little Girls," is one of the best songs ever. And having Carol Burnett sing it and just be this person, it was almost inspiring me to be an actor because I was like, I want to do that. I want to, embody that character. And what they did in it is that they felt like they had to do all of the points of Annie the musical, but they had to drop a sick bass beat behind it. And then they also wrote a crap ton of new music.
Oh, no.
That, they were good songs, don't get me wrong. And I'm like, just write your own goddamn musical.
Yeah.
There are really only 7 stories in the world. It's okay.
That's not true.
But
that's totally not true.
I disagree. I've got a great book about this. I
have a great book about this too. I can bring it right now.
Okay.
Okay. I don't mean to insult you, but what I'm trying to say is that it's okay to have the same plot as another story, and you can still do your own take on it. But if you're saying that we are doing Annie, you better fucking do Annie.
Yeah.
If I can disagree on one thing, I don't mind it when modern stuff, especially when they're musicals, change music slightly enough to create an in-genre point, Well,
the thing I was going to bring up with Annie is the change in the music. It was that the first thing you see in the remake of Annie is that they have a little girl in a red dress with flaming red hair get up and do a tap dance number, and then the entire group full of people just rolls their eyes and sighs deeply. Why would you want to see a movie about that? And I'm like, that's the movie that we're here to see? You're making a movie that's a remake of that?
And then what they also did is they had a really cool idea that the music in her life comes from the city of New York. So, as she's going through the town, it's very Stomp-esque. But they only do it for certain numbers and not for all of the numbers.
And it just seemed kind of disjointed.
It seemed very disjointed, and also she was so auto-tuned, except in this one song where she's singing about this is her opportunity, and it's an original song for the movie, and it's beautiful. And I'm like, this little girl can sing. Let her sing. Don't fucking auto-tune
her.
I think there's a musical style.
How do you do something where you have it's kind of like how they did all these Romeo and Juliet remakes where they're not Romeo and Juliet, but it's the story of Romeo and Juliet. How do you...
The same way Romeo and Juliet's just the story of Tristan and Isolde.
Yeah. So how would you label it as based on Annie? Like new name based on Annie?
Like The Wiz. Like The Wiz was amazing.
Yeah, you just wouldn't call it Annie.
Yeah.
Like seriously, you would just say you wouldn't call it Annie, and then you could say inspired by Little Orphan Annie,
or a retelling of.
Exactly. Yeah. You just say that because if you call it a certain thing, you go in expecting a certain thing. That's why also when you're doing stage plays, if it's something that's really well known, for example, West Side Story, we are doing our best to do the original choreography because that's what people fucking expect. They expect the Bernardo kicks. They expect the jet snaps. Like, you have to hit those things unless you say a reimagining.
Yeah. Right.
Exactly.
But even like that reimagining of Les Mis that we saw a couple of years ago that was amazing. They said it in modern times and stuff like that.
Oh, well, there was a Les Mis in modern time.
It works really well.
It works really well, dude.
Why have I not heard of this?
I'll show you the trailer when we're done podcasting.
Do they do the music too?
Yeah. It's the same.
It's the exact same music, but it works really well.
Why is this the first time I've heard of this? That's amazing.
But they keep functioning, brain. Come on, you're almost there. What they didn't do is the difference is when you get an adaptation, and this was the problem most of the time in the 90s, people tried to adapt things, especially geeky things like comic books. They would say, oh, we're going to make a movie version of this, but we're going to throw out everything about it and just put the name on it so that people will come to see it. And since basically X-Men in the late 90s, early 2000s, people have started to realize that actually the reason this stuff is popular is it's pretty good. And if we try and follow what made it popular in the first place, just make it slightly more modern, then you end up with Iron Man. And holy shit, all of a sudden we're making tons of money by respecting people. Yeah.
Like, one of the great things about Daredevil is Daredevil was a story that was popular, continuously popular, through very different times in America's history. There are a lot of comics that happened in like the mid to late 60s that didn't survive. But Daredevil did, and one of those reasons is because the basic ideas of Daredevil fit in so many different settings and eras. They're very strong, and the way that they turned them around in this show was really perfect.
Yeah.
Well, and that's like when you're watching the Netflix show, it has this very 90s feel to it because there aren't like a lot of cell phones being used.
That's true. Things are much more subtle and a noir-like.
But yeah, it feels modern, but yet at the same time it feels like old. So it's a really interesting thing, but one perfect example is Clash of the Titans. That movie was so god-awful, but Wrath of the Titans was awesome because they stopped taking themselves so damn seriously. They were like...
They stopped being embarrassed by what kind of movie they are.
We're like, okay, hey, we are going to make our own story, but it's with the same characters, same world, but we're going to have fun with it. Because, like, oh my god, when they threw away the owl in Clash of the Titans, I was like, fuck
That's the thing I always think
you.
of. It's just like that moment in Annie. You don't want something based on something old where the only way they connect with it is by shitting on it.
It's like the perfect example of an evolution, this exact evolution. When the show Arrow started, it was very embarrassed by what it was. There's actually a scene where they're trying to come up with a name for the vigilante, as they're calling him at that point, and John Barrowman's character is like, well, why don't we call him Green Arrow? And the guy who plays Green Arrow is like, no, that's stupid. And they never talk about it again. And now in the show, he's wearing costumes. He's fighting. He's gonna have fucking Constantine on the show.
Yeah, that's right.
He's gonna be calling himself Green Arrow. And the reason the Flash was so freaking successful is because by the beginning of the first episode, they were like, no, we're gonna have a costume. There's costume supervillains. There's a guy who calls himself Captain Cold. Fuck you. This stuff is cool.
Well, and having Cisco name them as the comic book characters, but also like. What was so weird about Arrow is he was all like, I'm super serious. But yet, they hammered home, oh, you're speedy, and I'm like, stop with the speedy. That it sounds so forced.
Yeah.
With his little sister, because she's supposed. Like,
so it's a little bit convoluted in the
because
comics.
Speedy is actually Roy,
yes,
right? Yeah. So, but it's like the sidekick. So they were trying to build up that like his sister was going to be like his sidekick, and I was just like, please stop, please, because they would be having a normal conversation, then he like got that Speedy,
oh geez,
you know, and you're just like, please,
we get it.
With the exact opposite of the sort of like perfect dialogue cadence that Daredevil had, where they would finish a scene and we'd stop and be like, that was amazing. Yeah. I feel charmed by this show.
Yeah.
One of the things that really reminds me of is, though I've never really tapped into Iron Man very much, I really like that in the Iron Man movies they got to the heart of what made Iron Man really appealing, which I remember from this. Well, yes, that's a big part of it.
He's an asshole who learns how to be a good guy, even though he's still kind of an asshole.
Yeah. The story is that, or Stan Lee always says, that he created this character because, according to their demographics, they were loved by hippies. DC wasn't. They were. They were the hippie people. And he thought, I'm going to challenge these hippies. Let's see if I can get them to accept a hero who's a part of the war machine.
Who's
that
an
is
arms dealer.
Yes,
yeah.
Who's literally part of the military-industrial complex. And they took, like, his big thing was the Korean War, which was majorly a problem back then, and people talked about it the same way. And they take that heart of it and apply it to the Iraq War in the same way, and they show the exact same issue. Yeah. So you have to transplant the heart. That's just it.
Yeah.
If you don't transplant
literally in Iron Man, you have to transplant the heart.
If you don't transplant the heart, you end up with Fantastic Four.
Yeah, well, and Fantastic Four... at Comic-Con, Kate Mara, who plays Invisible Woman, Mab told me about this, literally was on stage at Comic-Con in Hall H and said, no, we didn't make this movie for the fans. Fuck you! And that's why your movie only did $30 million the opening weekend.
Apparently, other people.
Executives, cash.
It's like, no one's going to go see your movie. No, it's a Marvel. Well, okay,
no, it's a Fox movie with a Marvel
Fox movie with
so
Marvel.
In the mid-90s, Marvel went bankrupt, literally. Mm-hmm. And so one of the ways they saved themselves, they sold the movie rights to most of their characters. So Fox got the X-Men, Fantastic Four, Sony got Spider-Man, Universal got Namor for some reason.
Yep.
And never did anything with it.
Nope. And so all these characters that they then, they got rid of basically their most popular characters. They gave up the movie rights to them. And so there's clauses in all these contracts that these big studios have where if they don't make a movie within a certain amount of time, the rights will revert back to Marvel.
So they make a shitty movie
in that period of time, suddenly Marvel started making gangbuster money because the characters they had left, who nobody was interested in, were the Avengers. And so they just said, fuck it, we're going to make the Avengers. And they did, and they made a shit ton of money because Kevin Feige really knows what the fuck he's doing.
Right, he really does.
He's a really good support for the idea of there needing to be a singular vision behind something like this. Because while he's very good at letting directors do their own thing and make the kind of movie they want to make, he's also always there to make sure that everything fits in, which unfortunately pushes away directors who really have their own styles, like Edgar Wright.
But I mean, Edgar Wright was all over Ant-Man. Like, his influences felt...
That's true.
I felt like it was something where it was like, I'm going to let you make this movie, but you should do this. Yeah. You should do this. You should do this. But I'm leaving. I'm leaving.
I wonder if
really
he made like a good chunk of it, and they said, "Can we just keep this shit in?"
Well, they did. For a lot of it, he'd actually been writing. He'd been working on that movie since before Iron Man. Ant-Man was the longest movie in development at Marvel. But then apparently,
I think it was
huge
the biggest
payoff.
It was the biggest risk for them because they were like
Guardians of the Galaxy. And Doctor Strange, honestly.
Is that
no, they have now bought a lot of stuff, and I have to say, with some of their casting decisions, they're still making big risks.
I think Benedict Cumberbatch is the
I think
choice.
he's fine. I think I don't have a problem with that. I just the other things are very. I love seeing Tilda Swinton. I hate seeing her as the Ancient One.
Okay, but the other hand, if Doctor Strange's mystical journey is to go to China and find an old Chinese guy who teaches him magic, that's just as problematic.
But he's still... No, it was Tibet, and he's still going to Tibet, isn't he?
I think so.
So that part did not change.
But I think they're making the Ancient One, because the Ancient One is in the comics, sort of this immortal being. I have a feeling Tilda Swinton's character is going to be less Tilda Swinton in a really cool outfit and more like this ethereal thing that teaches him magic. Which
that would be really cool.
Yeah.
That would be...
I mean, she's so weird.
In the best possible way.
Yes, I love her.
And in that, she's perfect for it.
I was doing, a little while ago, like a few months ago, a friend was asking me, who are your celebrity crushes?
You were doing a friend a few months ago?
No, I was talking with a friend. And, well, I always do my best friend.
Aww. We were joking earlier. Jairus was like, why don't we ever talk about, like, non-geeky, just conversational things in the show? I'm like, we always do. We talk about what's going on in our lives and, like, what's been happening in your sex life. And
at that point, I had to agree and concede because we talk about my sex life too much.
You discuss the sex life?
Not our sex
Only when
life,
you're here.
My sex
you
life.
guys bring it up all the time.
I talk about things that happen, like, before you. I don't talk about anything that is private to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Except for that thing with the thing. They didn't tell us what the thing with the thing, the other thing.
There's no thing with the thing. Shit, what was I saying?
There's no thing?
You were talking about
I don't like
Doctor
the thing.
Strange.
He's not very sexy.
That's really mean. He just wants to be hugged.
I don't
That's
like
really
people
raucous.
who are always rock hard.
Oh.
I wonder if one of the reasons Ant-Man was so long in production is it took so long to do the special effects.
I think the special effects...
The special effects were a huge deal.
They
like,
were.
people were
Hard.
Yeah.
But
I just really think it was... Okay.
I think it was finding the right tone probably took the longest.
Yeah, and I think they succeeded.
Yeah.
That tone
absolutely.
was incredible.
But also-
I was worried because I was like, 6 writers?
Yeah. But also I think they bring it in to the right... it was in the right spot. I think Ant-Man in Phase 1 would have made a lot less sense, even though he is a founding Avenger, because having this thief pop up in a world where there's already an Avengers and he can exist in that world makes a lot more sense.
I mean, like, technically they did kind of have the original Ant-Man be an original founder
I
of
did
S.H.I.E.L.D.
really like that. Yeah.
So they were kind of like nudge, nudge, wink, wink, like, even though...
And it also brings up the idea...
punch.
Oh, me too. And I love that idea that, the Avengers aren't the first time S.H.I.E.L.D's been working with super-powered people. We just don't talk about it.
I really would love to see a movie about why they don't talk about it. Like,
I'm guessing it's a lot of Hank Pym.
Yeah.
Plus, how do you go to the public and say, I'm sorry, we lost our best operative in an area smaller than a molecule. We'll never see her again, I'm sorry. She's in the quantum realm.
No. She's in the microverse.
That's right. Every time that they brought that up, I was like, this is just enough, like, pseudoscience bullshit. I love this so much.
I really hope that, even if it's just in, like, a Marvel short or something like that, they visit the microverse, because it's a wonderfully, stupidly weird idea. Like,
it's
you know how
Marvel.
atoms kind of look like planets? They are planets.
Oh, God. Well, it's just like Horton Hears a Who, but not funny at all.
No. Doesn't Annihilus live in the microverse for a while?
But something came out of the microverse.
Yeah.
There was a bad guy who...
I've heard the major bad guy. But Annihilus has always been from the negative zone. He's never been from the microverse.
Okay.
I don't know. Dude, have you been reading any of Secret Wars?
I can't afford it.
We'll find ways for you to get it. But the setup of the new world is so freaking cool. So,
I need to read it.
Doom is now God.
Yeah.
So
he took Galactus's title.
He took more than Galactus. He took the Beyonders' powers. So as the worlds were ending, Doctor Doom and Doctor Strange forged a last-minute desperate plan.
I saw that scene, and a bunch of people being like, we didn't want to have to do this, but for some god-awful reason it makes the most logical sense, and Doom is like, it's all mine!
Well, and apparently, like, it was between Strange and Doom, and Strange was like, I don't want to be a god, and Doom was like, I do! And so,
that would have been great for Strange.
And so, like, there's, they have all of these wonderful fantasy concepts. Like, so each of the realms are a different universe, and the multi-universe cops are Thors. Yeah.
So what's the setup for New World?
New World?
The new one. The what's coming out of this?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But
speaking back about...
because I want to tell you about this. You reminded me of Annihilus. So they have this area called the Wasteland, which is where they stick everybody who they don't want to deal with anymore.
Because the zombies are in there.
The zombies, the Ultron drones, and the Annihilus wave are all in there.
Oh,
hidden behind a wall that may or may not be what Doom turned the Thing into.
What?
Johnny Storm rebelled against his godhood, and so Johnny Storm is now the sun. They didn't have a sun, and Doom made Johnny Storm into the sun. It's really fucked up and wonderful.
This is really mythic, and also... Like, it feels like Marvel Comics at this point is just saying, we know what we are. We know what's going on. And I have to say, I do like it because as a beginning story, it's ideas like that are mythic enough to be like, we could do something with this.
Well, what I like the most about that story, because, so Doom remade the world, so of course he and Sue Storm are now together.
I was about to say, I was like, did he, say, you are my queen?
Yeah.
Like,
and so it was...
He's always trying to tap that.
Basically, the reason that Johnny is the son and not dead is because that was Sue's way of getting mercy for her brother, instead of having him just be obliterated into nothingness. It's such a cool story.
Of course, Johnny would do that. Did any of the Mr. Fantastic survive?
The ultimate Mr. Fantastic is alive and well.
The Maker?
Yeah.
That's awful.
So, the Ultimate Universe and 616 both Reed Richards built in parallel a ship designed to save as many people as they could. And so, 6 or 7 Marvel heroes and 6 or 7 Ultimate Universe people, I won't necessarily say heroes, all survived on the New World with memories of their past. So, and
do we know who they are?
It's from the Ultimate Universe. They were all supposed to be villains, so it's people like Thanos and the Maker and stuff like that. But Miles stowed away.
Yes, these are villains.
Oh, okay.
But Miles Morales stowed away.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
And from the Marvel Universe, I know it's Star-Lord, Peter Parker, I think Cap.
Of course, Peter Parker, though.
Yeah.
He's wily.
We're going to have... I really want to see a lot of Mike Morales, Peter Parker team-ups. Did I say Mike again?
You did, yeah.
It's because I'm
looking they've already teamed up once in that big anniversary. So when Miles gets off the ship, there's a quick moment where they both very quietly look at each other, and Miles is like, Peter? Yeah. Miles? Okay, we remember this. Let's keep going.
That's so... Spider-Man, that's awesome. Speaking of which, I can't wait to see what he's like in Civil War. I want to see Spider-Man as a person.
Me too.
I want to know what that character is going to be like. I hope
it's cool. He's the homemade costume rumors that are going around give me a lot of hope, because I really like the idea of Spider-Man running around in hockey pads, basically, that he made for himself. Then Tony will be like, no, come here, I'll give you your own suit. Oh, yes, God. Join the dark side, Peter.
Nothing would make me happier than a Spider-Man who people are like, look at this fucking... He can... Do. Okay, you can fight with us.
Or it's like, come on, kid.
Yeah, there's been rumors going around for a long time that a big chunk of the first Spider-Man movie will be him auditioning for the Avengers by having to fight Iron Man, which would be so cool.
To the death?
No,
I know. I just love Spider-Man so much.
You love him so much you want him to
hate Civil War Tony, but I love hating Civil War Tony. And I even like the way...
Tony is a really broken person.
Which is why they had to refix him with a literal memory backup.
I know!
That was amazing! It was such a technological,
it was such a Tony Stark way of getting out of things. Really, I've been a terrible person this whole time? Delete last 5 years.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Do you wish to delete selected memories? Yes.
God. I think I have turned around on Benedict Cumberbatch on Doctor Strange in that physically and vocally, I know he'd make an amazing Strange. I don't know how he'd do the magic, but I'm sure once I see it on screen, something will happen.
I'm sure he'll do it by putting his hands in a position this and doing some of this shit.
I mean, the
VFX people make things happen around him.
Do you think while he does it, he, like me, will make in his mouth,
Dude, every actor ever. Like, okay, so have you ever seen the behind the scenes on Desperado or Once Upon a Time in Mexico? Once Upon a Time in Mexico. So amazing. Antonio Banderas can't because they're adding the gunshots in post. Mm-hmm. He's firing guns that don't even fire blanks. He just has to mime it. Yeah. And he cannot stop himself from making gun noises in his mouth. Right. He kicks in a door to a church. He's like, pew, 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 pew. That's right. Robert Rodriguez has to be like, cut. And Antonio, please don't make the noises in your mouth. He's like, I am? And same thing with poor Ewan McGregor. Couldn't help but make the lightsaber noise when they were fighting. You know,
it's so awesome. That's another story from... what do you call it? From Lord of the Rings. They kept telling John Rhys Daisies, we are experienced. We orcs are experienced of what do you call it? Stunt people. You don't have to hit us. We'll make it look real. And he goes, okay. And he landed every single blow. And they keep telling you don't have to do it. And he'd say, okay. And he'd keep doing it.
That's like, so Mick Foley has this great story in his book where he finally gets to have a match with his mentor, Terry Funk. It's a name from the 70s, man.
Of course it is.
But he says, like, my whole life I've been watching him in the ring and I've never been able to figure out how he makes his punches look so good. And I was really excited to finally learn the secret. So he throws me in the corner and punches me in the face as hard as he can.
That's where you're like, heart broken.
Oh, man.
Oh, Terry Funk. He started wrestling in, like, 72 and is still going.
What?
He's retired, like, 7 times and he keeps getting back in the ring and doing death matches.
Probably because that's where he wants to die.
Pretty soon he will literally need the services of The Undertaker. Up top!
Oh.
Is that a wrestler?
Yes.
The Undertaker is a wrestler.
What does he dress like? Does he dress in a suit?
No, actually, that would be cool.
His manager, Paul Bearer, does.
Oh, God.
Paul Bearer.
That's right. That's right.
The Undertaker is a, depending on who you ask, a literal demon from hell, a wizard with necromantic powers, or a biker with a...
No, all those things can't be true. Would you like to play my Mage Fate game?
Oh, God. Have I shown you guys Wrestling Isn't Wrestling?
No, what's that?
Show you. There's this guy named Max Landis. He wrote Chronicle. He wrote the upcoming Victor Frankenstein movie. And, yeah!
They are gonna have sex on screen! This guy, oh my God.
He's an incredibly, incredibly smart guy, and he occasionally does these things where he just gets mildly drunk, not like super wasted, and talks about things that he really cares about on YouTube, and then his friends make funny videos out of it. Sort of. So he did like a drunk history of the death of Superman. Which is really funny. And he did another one called Wrestling Isn't Wrestling, which is a 20-minute treatise on Triple H. And it is one of the best things I've ever seen. Before we leave tonight, I will make sure I show you guys this because it's amazing. Okay. But yeah. So speaking of Arrow and SummerSlam, Stephen Amell is wrestling on Sunday.
Why?
Because he's a really big fan of WWE and he wants to.
That's working for Jon Stewart too. I see.
Well, so Jon Stewart's not going to be wrestling.
No,
I hope.
Oh well.
Although he did kick Seth Rollins in the dick that one time.
That's right, he did.
Dude, he had the last time he was on Raw, he had the best line. Seth Rollins was talking about being the future and being the chosen one of the Authority, and Jon Stewart was like, I know you're the poster boy for the Authority, but when people get sick of looking at posters, they take them down.
Oh, that's awesome. That reminds me of some of the things he was throwing out in the March for Sanity. I felt some of that in his last one when he started talking about vigilance against bullshit and different types of bullshit. It very much felt like Lao Tse going into the wilderness and saying, "Here is my religion.
Yeah.
Let me show you my treatise on
This is what I've been talking about all these years, condensed into a 2-minute segment, because that's all the time we have."
You gotta be careful.
Yeah.
He didn't even cover all types of bullshit. When I saw it, I was like, well, what about people trying to make bad things look good? And good things look bad? Like...
He sort of covered that, but
yeah, a little bit. No, he did bad things look good, not good things look bad. It's like, what about our neighbors who happen to look different? No, they're bad. How do we be vigilant against that? You just have to be. I don't know.
Yes. Just be vigilant against bullshit.
Yes. You really should. Speaking of which, I know it's politics again, but Trump is so fun.
Oh, God.
He's
going to be so fun right up until he wins.
No, he's not going to... I don't think he's going to win. Mathematically projected, this sort of thing happens all the time. The last guy was Newt Gingrich.
Yeah, like
he's got about 12 more
Then,
weeks.
yeah.
It usually right before the
because this
the
early in the polling process, the people who pay attention are the whack jobs.
Well, and that's why they're extending it, because a lot of people who know they'll get the whack job vote, Ted Cruz, said that, you know what, we're doing this, and that's why Hillary had to do it 2 days after him, because she's like, I guess I have to do this.
Yeah.
And they also, a lot of polling places still use people with landlines and...
Oh God, yeah.
Did you see my Sandor the Burninator joke?
Yes, I did see that. That was amazing. Burninating the countryside. Burninating the persons. Oh, God. You know what I'm really glad about sometimes? I'm really glad sometimes that we're not a political show. Because could you imagine...
I could do it, but I get really upset arguing on the internet.
Well, and we would have to... Like, the amount of shit that the people behind The Daily Show and The Colbert Report and now, The Nightly Show and last week with Tonight have to watch. The amount of awful shit they have to watch to make fun of every week. Like, leading it... the reason Jon Stewart quit this year is because he didn't want to go through another election cycle.
I don't blame him.
It's so hard.
It's awful. And they're starting earlier and earlier, man.
It's neither fun nor totally informative. And,
Yeah.
I am looking forward to it because it feels like an important election. Any election where a Democratic candidate says, I'm running as a Democratic socialist. That's right, guys. I'm a socialist. Is one of those where I'm like...
I'm paying attention.
Okay. Now what you gonna do?
I'm gonna vote for Bernie in the primary, but I don't hold out a lot of hope that he'll actually get the nomination. I'm
hoping for him, but there is no political machine like the Hillary political machine.
Yeah.
It's hard to... I really would like a Democratic Socialist in the White House so much because I am a Democratic Socialist, but part of politics is recognizing that, you're not going to get all of what you want. You have to give up on.
You can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you might find you get what you need.
I don't know if that's true in politics. Well, actually, I'm white. I get a lot of what I need.
It's true in Batman.
Okay.
You're not the hero Gotham deserves, but the hero it needs right now, or something. It just made sense when Jonathan Nolan wrote it.
I'm the goddamn John Cena!
Hey, no!
But I thought it was supposed to be the hero that Gotham deserves.
I don't know.
No,
I haven't seen that movie
it is. I'm not the hero Gotham needs. I'm the hero Gotham deserves. He's saying, yeah, I'm a shitty hero, but you're a shitty city.
So fuck you.
Fuck you.
I haven't even seen that movie, and I remember the quote.
You should see that movie. It's the best Batman movie.
It is a really good Batman. I think it might be the best.
I really liked the Michael Keaton Batman.
The Michael Keaton Batman is a good movie, but it is not the best Batman movie. Dark Knight is the best Batman movie. It is the purest encapsulation of what Batman is as a character.
Which
for
is
better
that
or worse.
Not a hero. No, a prisoner is a better hero than Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Literal prisoner's dilemma.
Better hero.
Batman would have failed that one.
Yes.
Totally would have failed.
Meanwhile, in his own movie, Superman's not even saving people.
No.
Fuck you!
Though I like that that's what they're making the next movie about, but we've talked about all that.
Yeah.
You know what I want to talk about?
No.
Rogue One.
Oh my god, dude. You saw that Donnie Yen's going to be in it, right?
Yes, I did.
Oh my god.
Yes, I did.
Rogue One is the new Star Wars spin-off movie.
Set during the classic era.
It's the tale of how they stole the Death Star plans.
Which, I mean, one of the 37 different people said to have stole the first...
But this is in canon now, the one person.
If there's a side character named Kyle Katarn...
If there's a side character who doesn't have a name but has a beard, his fandom name will be Kyle Katarn.
I will just say the most inappropriately joyous things in the middle of the theater.
I always was more of a Heaven Storm fan in terms of who stole the Death Star plans.
Yeah, but you love those books. Like, you love the Choose Your Own Adventure
Yeah, because they're great books.
What I like about Kyle Katarn is that he, in no way was it necessary for him to steal those plans.
No.
It wasn't part of... And he had an incredible... what do you call it? Incredible, origin story. The novel where they talked about that was amazing. He's he was this stormtrooper, and he got people's trust.
He was a stormtrooper. They called him Kyle.
Then he went home to find his dad was shot by a dark Jedi. He was Kyle.
Kyle Katarn.
Dark forces rising in your heart.
That's not who I was expecting.
Were you expecting John Cena?
Isabel was very disturbed that you had closed the bathroom door.
Oh, I apologize. I needed to poop in privacy.
Oh, I understand.
The cats do not understand.
No,
There's one thing I've learned about cats. They do not understand privacy.
If I open the door and to let her in and then close it, she will explore all around and then look at me, look at the door, and start complaining that I can't let her out.
Without revealing too many details, one of my most amusing things in my life is whenever the cat jumps on us during intimate moments. Like, just...
we have so many stories like that.
No, our cats are disgusted.
Not always. Ian's walked up to me while certain sexy things are going on, really sexy things, and has licked me, and I'm instantly going, this is... Oh my god, that's almost a threesome.
Our children are watching!
This is horrible. That's how she thinks. I don't call them children. No, there are house guests who aren't as smart as me. Oh,
Harry baby.
Big Hero 6 was a way better movie than I think the world realized.
Yes. It's going to be in the next Kingdom Hearts.
That's what I hear.
Yes.
That'll be fun.
So at Celebration, they gave away...
There should be Robot Goofy.
Not Celebration. At D23, the Disney convention last weekend.
The thing that isn't interesting to anyone until this year when Star Wars becomes a bigger...
Star Wars and Marvel were both there suddenly, hardcore,
Yeah.
Do
you think that's why they didn't do...
Comic-Con? Yes, that's exactly why they didn't do Comic-Con.
Holy shit, that's awful.
I can imagine that the hardcore Disney fans are pissed because their convention...
No, actually, I wouldn't be pissed if I were them because... So what Disney did is they had two giant panels. They had the Disney animation panel, they had the Disney live action panel. And both of those panels covered everything. So the animation panel revealed their whole slate of Disney animation films for the next couple of years. It had The Rock, it had a bunch of other people. The live action panel...
That's right, because he's going to be a Polynesian god.
Yeah,
not
he's going to be Maui.
Polynesian.
Yes.
Sorry.
And the live action panel, they had Star Wars stuff, and Harrison Ford showed up, and like they showed the first test animatics from Doctor Strange, but also like Johnny Depp showed up as Captain Jack Sparrow. They had pictures
because whenever he can, he dresses up as Captain Jack and just.
I would
go grocery shopping as Captain Jack.
I would never change.
How would
People
you
would be
ever
like,
get out of the store?
My agent would be like, Johnny, we've got a role for you, and I'd be like, I'm sorry. Who is this Johnny Depp?
You're just like what's his name from the Lonely Island songs. Actually, it's a song about Captain Jack Sparrow. I love
that sketch.
That I wish they had made it even more like that because I fucking love that idea.
Well, but like what I mean is kind of how like people get pissed off that Comic-Con's gotten so big, and they're like, I've been going since 1975.
I remember when the show was about comic books, dude. If some guy dressed as Loki is standing in the middle of 60,000 people, getting them all to chant his name, it's still about comic books.
Yeah.
Deep down, oh my god, wait. Loki and Doctor Strange are going to be in the same...
They may never share screen time.
In your heart,
but if they do, imagine the fan fiction.
That's right what I'm thinking of right now. I heard about that test footage. It sounds like they're going pretty hardcore. No, it's magic.
Yeah.
They're like really hardcore.
Yeah.
I can't wait. Oh man, I hope they have a general theory of magic or some narrative to hold on to so it's not
I hope they don't.
I point my fingers
I hope they're
and
like,
shit
fuck
happens.
it, magic works. I hope there's no rules.
It should work. Oh, well,
magic should always have rules.
That is...
Not Doctor Strange magic.
That's
Doctor
true,
Strange magic,
and that's true.
Doctor Strange magic comes from...
Magic should always have rules. Doctor Strange has never had a long-term run because his powers never have rules.
Doctor Strange is bored from the 70s acid trips form of magic.
All of his costumes are based off of the worst 70s sex god ideas. And literally,
Wait,
like
he's
people...
a sex god?
No, that's just how he dresses.
So like the... Like
Liberace. He dresses like Liberace.
He dresses like Zaphod Beeblebrox from
Hitchhiker's Guide.
I'm familiar
Shirt
with
down to here.
Yeah, like, and just that bling, the Eye of Agamotto, man, it gets the girls. I fucking love that story so much. But the thing is, he doesn't work.
This character's going to be played by Benedict Cumberbatch?
Yes.
Imagining Benedict Cumberbatch in an outfit like that.
Yeah.
Not sure if pleased or horrified.
So, the thing that I like... I feel like they have to have rules, because so many things in stories, and one of the reasons why stories has never worked out as a real main character, main line, is, I think, because his powers and abilities have no boundaries or expectations. And I think that makes him very magical when compared to other people. But I feel like they're going to need to find a way to give him a compelling, limits.
I'm sure, yeah.
Because then it's like...
Yeah, I think they'll have limits, but they'll also have, Dormammu is his limit. His Dormammu is just so much more
it'd be really cool if the reality bending between them is the limit. Like, oh, you can have everything you ever want. Now look at this motherfucker. He misused it. You want to be like him? Look at him.
I would love to see a magic fight in a Doctor Strange movie, or any movie, really, that's conceptually like... Well, yes, but that's conceptually like the magic fight from The Sword and the Stone. Where instead of being about throwing fireballs at each other, it's about how can you bend reality to weasel inside your enemy's defenses.
That inspired a fight scene in the Harry Dresden Files.
The Harry Dresden Files?
The Dresden Files has a fight scene based off of that scene.
You're right, it does.
Yeah. I also like that. I think it would be very cool to have... How to put this? I would like to see a very philosophical thing, much like the first Matrix, where it was still bound within like the action scenes and the stories that people cared about before it went off into the sequels, where I'm the only one who liked them.
You are the only one.
I am the only one.
You are the one.
Was okay.
It's more than okay, and I'm the only one who thinks that.
No one wants to see an old white guy talk to a young white guy about the nature of reality for 20 minutes. Except for people who really like Snow Crash.
I love Snow... Wait, did you find someone else who loves Snow Crash, who loves
Everyone loves Snow Crash. But
except
people
for you.
don't... Actually,
love...
I don't understand why people who like Snow Crash don't like the second Matrix movie, because it's the same thing. It's an amazing action story. All of a sudden it becomes talking about philosophy for 14 fucking chapters for no good goddamn reason. Nobody gives a shit about Enki.
I gave so many shits about Enki.
Oh, great. Now I'm going to have to read this book.
Yeah, well, now it's the Hugo type of writing where, like, you have the story, and then all of a sudden you're like, wow, he's been talking about Paris for, like, 6 chapters. I'm just gonna... Oh, okay, there's the story again.
Hugo was... I've never read the book, but that was an amazing movie. 4 pages on a tree.
Oh, no, Hugo is... she means Victor Hugo, the guy who wrote Les Mis, not Hugo, the movie by Martin Scorsese.
So sorry.
It's okay.
Speaking, but that made me think about Hugo, which made me think that, fuck, there's been something on the edge of my brain for so long.
Is it my foot?
Hello and welcome to the Ace of Geeks podcast.
What episode number is this?
This is 161.
Wow.
162. This is 162. Jairus, if they want to email us, how can they do that?
They should email us at aceofgeekspodcasting@gmail.com.
John Cena!
I was about to do by the hoary hordes of...
you can find us...
By the hoary hordes of John Cena.
By the hoary hosts of John Cena. That just sounds dirty.
By the eye of Triple H.
God.
I have to show you something. But, okay.
I was taught by Rey Mysterio in Mexico.
You would really like Lucha Underground.
Would I?
You really would.
It sounds really fun.
Literal fucking dragon. Anyway.
Wait, they have sex with the dragon?
Yes. So if you want to find more from us, we're at aceofgeeks.net. We have 3 new YouTube series on youtube.com/aceofgeekspodcast. They're all very good.
Oh, that's right. I should share your thing on the Uncharted series, because I really like that joke in the middle.
The tutorial joke?
I wanted to comment on it, but I was in the car.
That's okay. If you want to find us on Twitter, we're at Ace of Geeks. Facebook, we're also just the Ace of Geeks. We're on Google+, we're the Ace of Geeks. Mm-hmm. But why are we? Because no one goes on Google+. We've never gotten a single hit off Google+, ever.
You know, I think Google Plus might be a really good place to make friends once you have, like, shunned all your friends on Facebook.
Yeah.
Or are afraid to, run into your ex-wife on Facebook.
Yeah.
It's just Facebook for Google employees.
Yeah. We're on Instagram at Ace of Geeks, and I think that's it. So, thanks for tuning in, folks, and we'll see you next week. Oh, no, I'm going to do that at the beginning. We'll see you next week.